Okay, let's make some biscuits. We're going to make some really good, tender, rich biscuits. We're going to start out with 3 cups of sifted all-purpose flour. Now this recipe is going to be a little bit different than just your regular biscuit recipe because it's going to have just a few added ingredients in it that keep it tender and just a real good rich taste to the biscuit. And what we're going to do is we're going to add an egg to it. And you know what eggs do. Any kind of bread, it makes it a real rich texture. So we got our 3 cups of sifted all-purpose flour, and we're going to add a teaspoon of salt. And I've got some cream of tartar, and we're going to add about a teaspoon of cream of tartar. And if you've ever made angel biscuits, that's one of the ingredients. And what it does, it just makes it a real lighter, tender biscuit. And we're going to put 4 teaspoons of baking powder. And I think we're going to need a couple of tablespoons of sugar. Now, you can omit the sugar, but we like a little bit of sugar in our biscuit. It gives it a little bit of sweeter taste. And I put about 3 tablespoons. So we're just going to mix our dry ingredients up now. Get them all incorporated together. And this is going to be an all butter biscuit. It's not going to be any shortening or lard or any oil in it. It's going to be all butter. Butter makes it better. I've got a stick and a half of chilled butter, very cold butter, 3/4 of a cup. And we're just going to work that butter into the flour mixture, and we'll just cut it in and make it look like pea-sized pieces in there. You don't want to cut it all the way in to where, your butter's all incorporated and already getting too soft. And so we're just going to cut it in here till you got pea-sized pieces of butter in there. And I love making biscuits with nothing but butter in it, just like a pie crust. Now, we all know that lard makes the best pie crust, but I tell you, when you make an all butter pie crust, you talk about a rich pie crust. They're so good. So just make sure you got it cut in there pretty good. I guess me and Mr. Brown are a lot different, a lot of people on our biscuits, because we don't like a real thick biscuit. We like our biscuits just a little bit thinner. We like a crispy on the outside, and we like them thin. And I'm going to show you how I get them thin. Okay, we got our butter cut in there good. So now what I'm going to do is I've got a cup of buttermilk. And I'm just going to make me a well in the middle of my dry ingredients. And I'm just going to take my spoon. I'm just going to pull that flour into that buttermilk. Then I'm going to start stirring it real good. Now, you could do this in your big mixer if you wanted to. I just didn't want to get it out and then have to clean it up and then put it back up. Sometimes it's just easier to stir it by hand. You just want to get it incorporated really good. I'm going to take my clean hands and I'm just going to bring it all together. You can't make biscuits without getting your hands in there. You don't want to overwork it. but you want to get it all incorporated. You want to bring it all together. Because we all know the more you mess with it, you're going to have a tougher biscuit. But I do want to get it all incorporated good. So I think that's pretty good. I'm going to get my my floured tea towel out, and we'll cut out our biscuits. Okay, well, y'all seen my egg sitting there, and I forgot to put my egg in there. I should have put it in there at the same time I put my buttermilk in and worked it in, but I just left it there like it wasn't even there. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to get it mixed in. So y'all don't do like I did and forget your egg. Put your egg in the same time you put your buttermilk in. Get it mixed in real good. Because this egg is going to make such a difference in your biscuits. It's going to make it a really rich biscuit. It'll be okay. We'll get it worked in good. I really like these biscuits. They're really good. Good and tender. So just get it mixed in good. And now I'm going to get my tea towel out. Okay, before I take my biscuits out, I'm going to sprinkle them with just a little bit of flour. And I'm just going to work that flour around in there just a little bit so it's not so sticky when I put it out on my floured tea towel. You don't want to put too much flour. Just kind of dust it on there. And that should be good. It's still just a little bit sticky, but that's okay. Let's get ready to roll these things out. Okay, guys, I'm going to just pat these out with my hand. I'm not going to roll them out with my roller. I'd just soon pat them out. It's just as easy. Just make it as thick as you want it. And I'm just going to take my can and I'm going to cut my biscuits out real quick. Y'all like my fancy biscuit cutter? It's what my grandma and what Mr. Brown's grandma always cut her biscuits with was a can. So I guess that's why I do it too. I do have a fancy biscuit cutter, but I just soon use this can. It don't take long to cut your biscuits out. Now I've got my big skillet back here. I've got it greased with some good old lard. And I'm going to place some biscuits in there. Now, with me putting them in this big skillet, what it's going to do is it's going to help. When them biscuits start cooking, they're going to kind of spread out. And with them spreading out like that, they're going to make a thinner biscuit. And that's what I'm wanting. Now, if I was to put them in a smaller pan and bunch them up and crowd them up together, they would rise and make a thicker biscuit. If that's what you like. If you like a thicker biscuit, put them in a smaller pan. And I'm just going to get the leftovers together and I'm going to pat them out because I think I can get 3 or 4 more biscuits out of this. Sure don't want to waste it. You should be able to get at least a dozen biscuits out of this. So if you need to, if you're feeding a big crowd, you can double the recipe. And I've got just enough left that I'm just going to make me the last little biscuit so there's no waste. And there you go. That's all there is to it. Okay, guys, I brushed the top of my biscuits with some fresh lard. If you don't have any lard, you can brush them with a little bit of oil or butter or whatever you've got. But what that lard's going to do is it's going to help brown the top of the biscuits and it's going to give it a flakier top too. So I've got my oven heated at 450, and we're going to give them an oven, and they're going to cook about 10 to 12 minutes. Okay, let's make our sausage gravy. And I've got some fresh sausage here from a local farm. I've got a hot skillet. I'm just going to break it up. I probably won't use that whole pan. It's just me and Mr. Brown. So all we're going to do is let this sausage brown up, and when it gets good and brown and crumbly, we'll come back and we'll make our gravy. Our sausage is good and brown, and I'm going to add, there's really not enough grease in the bottom of that to make gravy, so I'm going to add a tablespoon or so, because you need that extra fat to make your gravy. Now my biscuits are out of the oven, and they're good and brown. And like I said, me and Mr. Brown like a thinner biscuit. That's why I put them in this big skillet so that they would spread out a little bit. But if you put them in a smaller skillet or biscuit pan or whatever, you'll have a thicker biscuit. But this is how we like our biscuits. That's just the way we like ours. So, a smaller pan, thicker biscuits. Okay, I think my grease is hot enough. And I'm just going to add, it's hard for me to give measurements because I just do this by my eyeball. But I'm going to start with a tablespoon of flour. And I'm just going to stir this up. I'm going to add one more tablespoon. Make sure our gravy gets thick. Now once you get this stirred, mixed up good, you want to let that flour cook for just a couple minutes. Just keep stirring it, don't let it burn. I've got it on a medium to low heat, because you don't want that raw flour taste in your gravy. Now, a lot of people tell me my gravy never turns out, it's always lumpy. And one secret that might help that is I always use warm milk when I'm making my gravy, because if you pour cold milk into your pan, it's going to instantly lump up on you. So I just warm my milk up a little bit, and I'm not sure how much milk it's going to take because it'll always be different, but what I've got in my picture is I got 2 cups. So we'll see how much milk it takes. And if it looks like still like you need a little bit more flour in it, don't be afraid just to put just a little more in there. We love sausage gravy, and we like the hamburger gravy too on a piece of toast. That's a real good, fast, cheap meal too. And you can eat sausage gravy on toast. You don't have to make biscuits for it. We hadn't had sausage gravy in a while, so I just thought this morning it'd be a good time to make some biscuits and sausage gravy. I think this is cooked enough, and I'm going to start pouring my milk in here a little bit at a time. And I can see that it's already thickening up, so I'm going to pour just a little bit more. It's still trying to thicken up on me, so I'm going to keep pouring. So I know that I'm safe and it's not going to clump up on me. Keep a stirring it. Stir around the edges. You know, this is a meal that will really fill you up for a while. Okay, I can feel that it's getting thick. Put a little bit more milk. And I can see that this is about the amount of sausage gravy I want. So I'm not going to put any more milk. My burner's on low. Whoops. And I'm just going to keep stirring it till it gets to the consistency that I want for my gravy. You don't want it real thick like paste, but you don't want it too thin either. So I think that's about right. I'm going to turn my stove off. I'm not going to add any salt to it because I'm afraid that sausage may be salty, but I am going to add just a little bit of pepper. So that's about the consistency that we like on our biscuits. If you like it really thicker, you can cook it down a little bit thicker. So let's plate up our breakfast real quick. There you go, guys. Biscuits and sausage gravy. It's easy and it's good. God bless everybody. Y'all come back and see us.